shame, but I place my shame on you. On you. On you. On you. There's no way out. And though a part of me still begs you not to lie, I wonder why you shoot me down. Don't need a reason, you just keep failing me. But I can't help myself, but I place my shame, but I place my shame on you. On you. On you. I can't relax without you. I can't rely on you. I can't relax
Hello and welcome back. Sorry about that scene switch. Got the wrong champ select going right there. But we're back into this match, this best of two between Team Doesn't Care and Not Safe for Ward, switching up the sides. So let me go ahead and fix that for you guys.
And hopefully this time around I'm fully audible in all my glory.
Oh, you are.
Yes.
I can promise you right now you're fully audible right there.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, we've got pretty much the same bands though between these two teams. Team Doesn't Care is still going for the Aurelian Soul Misfortune and still taking their time with their third band like last time around. And Lee Sin Syndra will be out of the picture. Ooh, Trundle. All right. So a little bit of respect to Pimlico's Trundle.
That's interesting because I didn't think the Trundle was actually a big issue for for Team Doesn't Care to play against it. It didn't really have much impact in the lane. The pillars later on led to some picks, I'd have to say, but didn't think it was the big game changer. Now, TDC, they know what the big impact champion was, and they first pick that Orianna, not afraid of the counter pick. They just want to make sure that Thief can't even get his hands on that one.
What would be the counter pick? One of the reasons why Orianna was really popular for as long as she was is because there aren't very many hard counter picks. There's certainly champions that do better and champions that do worse, but I don't know of any single champion that would just completely counter out an Orianna. She's got such a well-rounded kit that in the hands of a good player, and I would say that pardon me, did they swap their mid laner out?
No,
Katsuo was playing the Victor though.
Yeah, he was on Victor.
Because it's been picked away now.
Yeah, they switched sides. The team switched sides.
Yes, but it wasn't Hief who was playing Orianna last time around, unless my memory is completely abandoning me.
Thief was playing the Orianna.
Thief. I'm not seeing the T.
Yeah,
does my client just have a very strange bug going on?
I believe it has an accent mark on it or something of the like.
Oh,
so yeah, it's Thief.
That's so
Thief.
confusing. I'm just seeing this player named Hief that hasn't been in the game.
Trying to pronounce
I'm so
Hief.
confused. Apparently Thief has an invisible T in his name. But yes, in the hands of Thief, this Orianna I don't think would have really had a counter pick. So taking it away as a first pick makes a lot of sense.
Right, there's a lot of champions that can fare okay into it, but it's not like you're gonna really win out the lane up against, an Orianna. Orianna's just such a well-rounded champion, often hailed as the most balanced champ in League of Legends just because she does a little bit of everything, has got the shields, got the big AoE damage, some lane presence, but she's just all around a nice, strong, stable pick. Now, TDC, they've got Olaf and Nautilus, so they're trying to take away some of the picks that NSW went for, stealing away that Nautilus, who I assume we'll see either top or support, because Olaf has been predominantly a jungle pick, has seen some top play in solo queue, I'd have to say, but yeah, really interesting stuff coming out already.
The doctor is in. And he's I'm not sure where he's going to be, honestly. That could be top, that could be jungle. There's so many places you can put a Mundo. Well, there's two places you can put a Mundo, but they're both interesting places. And in Anivia as well. So we're seeing what Hief disguised as a Thief this guy's name. We're seeing where Thief is going to go when faced off against his own champion. Apparently quite a prolific Orianna player. Thinks Anivia is the correct answer to the Orianna question.
Yeah, another very safe mid laner, so I don't think we're going to see either of these two really win out hard early on. I feel like Orianna should be able to get the shove advantage pre-level 6 before you get that Glacial Storm. That's when Anivia is really going to come online, when she has that level 6, is able to just clear waves away without much of an issue. But the same could have really been said for the Victor Orianna matchup, where once you get that first recall, that's when the Victor gets the double tap on the laser, and he should be able to clear waves with ease, but that just never really happened for Katsuo. So, it's up to him this time to have his turn on the Orianna, see how that works out. But the Teemo equals Kled for Volende. Huh. So that is going to be a Mundo jungle, interestingly enough.
And a Kled top.
Yeah. Similar to last game, right, where they saved that last pick for their top laner and brought out a very bruisery, carry-oriented top lane. Last time it was Darius. This time it's going to be the Kled. I love seeing those kind of champions. I'd love to see an Ivern too, but I don't think that's ever really gonna happen for the time being. But Kled, the new champion, can definitely throw your opponents off guard because you don't have that many games up against it. It's not considered wildly overpowered, so you don't see it all that often in solo queue. So it's definitely a dark horse coming in here in the top lane.
The darkest of horses.
The darkest of lizards.
A dark lizard, yes. Not quite a horse. But it. Oh man, he's going to be up against Echo in the top lane. I'm really not sure how that matchup is going to go. Kled. The main issue that I've seen with a lot of Kleds is that you want a little bit of everything in a Kled build. You want to be tanky enough to survive going in because that's all he can do, really. But you need damage to be an effective menace. His base damage is strong, but not quite as strong as some other bruisers that you see on the Rift. So the problem then is like what to do with your first 2 items. Once Kled gets into like the mid-late game and he can start with those huge long distance engages and he has like 2, maybe 3 core items, so he's built into his bruiser status. He's wonderful. He's great. But before that, he just feels kind of awkward. And maybe that's just because nobody solved the riddle of what to build first on Kled and like how to play out his laning phase correctly. Or maybe it's something inherent to the champ and he just needs a few tweaks.
Right, and I think it's going to be strange up against the Echo as well, because if you look at the Kled, you've got the bear trap on the rope. Echo's gonna be able to dodge, dip, and dive away from that, and then when he gets dismounted, and he's trying to jump away, Echo's just gonna be able to jump right on top of him. So I don't think it's necessarily the strongest pick into the Echo. Now, I haven't seen this matchup in particular, so maybe Valendi knows something I don't, but I don't see how this is going to go all that well for Valende, especially when Script is just going to be able to build, a couple tank items and never really give a care in the world about the Kled damage.
Yeah, and I mean, Kled is kind of also overshadowing another really strange pick in the Mundo jungle. This is just all around a pretty darn oddball composition that we're seeing out of NSW. They had a really solid game 1. They looked in control pretty much past laning phase. Laning phase looked kind of even for both sides, going back and forth all over the map. And then we broke into like the 20-minute mark and Orianna went mad and the rest of the team was behind her. So they're changing up quite a few things and we'll see whether or not they can stay consistent with such a oddity of a roster.
Yeah, I think the big turning point in the previous game was when Wicked Flux and Kotsuo just got a little bit too aggressive. They made the play work in mid lane and then overstayed their welcome in the enemy jungle. Ended up giving 2 kills over to Thief, who just really turned that into that massive pressure in the mid lane, had the double buffs, knocked down that turret pretty much solo. And then was able to rotate that into objectives across the map, win a couple team fights a row, and everything just went downhill after that one overstay for TDC. So maybe they can shore things up. We'll have to wait and see. We're seeing a Mundo in the jungle as well as a Kled in the top lane.
With
this is spicy.
Exhaust Smite Mundo jungle.
Hey, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
I mean, it's interesting though, because Mundo does get a huge AD buff plus the guaranteed crit off of his E. He does percentage chunk damage on a low cooldown. If he goes red smite, he can also get like the extra bonus damage out of that. And then exhaust, like that just turns Mundo into an incredibly strong duelist, provided he can get the right situation. He has to get next to somebody first. He has to have all of these things available and ready to use, but maybe Monster Truck is looking for an aggressive Mundo jungle. It's not something I would have anticipated, certainly, but it's an interesting choice.
I feel like it's the discount version of Olaf in a way. If you discount the ultimates, right, you've got the axe, except your axe can't really go through targets. You can't really pick it up. But then
it's a smaller axe.
It's sort of similar, and neither of them are bringing flash to the table, so they're just looking for that that strong dueling potential. And I feel like with the exhaust, and if he goes the route of the red smite, which I definitely think is a viable option for him, I think he can win out in the 1v1 up against Wicked Flux. Now, is he ever going to get the 1v1? I mean, who can really tell before going into this game? But if he finds out Wicked Flux, before either of them get an ultimate, before he can, shred off that CC and just run away with the Ragnarok, I think Monster Truck might be onto something.
Yeah, and it's an idea that I think certainly has potential, but it's a clunky one, and it's going to be hard to maneuver correctly.
This is the guy that brought out Nautilus Jungle in the previous game, so
True,
I,
but
I have to give him some respect there for these
I
picks.
gotta interject though and say that the Nautilus jungle was played in a much different style than an
True.
exhaust smite Mundo would be played. He did not do anything aggressive in the early game aside from a gank here or there in mid lane, and then later on he was looking for picks. He just flash ulted people now and then, landed some nice hooks. He was the engage for his team and not really much else. But when you build Mundo really aggressively, which this exhaust sort of points to, then you've got to play aggressively alongside that, or else you're wasting a lot of the potential. So, I don't know. It's a very different play style, even though it seems similar because they're both tanky. But aside from that, basically, they're going to be feeling much different roles.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is that you don't have that big engage, which was so powerful on Mancertruck's Nautilus. So he does have to play a lot more aggressively in this early game, make some ganks happen, get his team rolling, because there's some scaling, right, you have to wait for with your mid laner. Similar to the Orianna, had to wait to come online until you got that couple of kills underneath the belt. But if I'm looking at these picks by themselves, we talk about how powerful that first turret takedown is. What better champion to do that than the Tristana on your team? So if I have anything to predict from this early game, this early mid game from NSW, it's some heavy focus around the bottom lane. They've got the Tristana, which wants to siege down those turrets, as well as having the double teleport. Anivia's running teleport, as well as the top laner. So they've got double TP, they've got that global advantage. It's just up to whether they use it or not.
Yeah, and teleporting Kled can be a very scary thing, especially post 6. He doesn't even really have to teleport into your lane to be able to make the gank happen. Like, you don't necessarily know that he's going to be coming in, because he can teleport in like Fog of War up the river a little bit if he's coming bottom lane or something along those lines, and then Kled ult charge into the lane, and there was no real time to react to that. So it's a very interesting champion overall.
It's similar, I guess, to like the likes of a Shen, where you can use your Stand United down bottom and then TP back to your lane, so you make sure you don't lose any damage on the turret, or you don't lose a minion wave up there. So I like the idea of it, what it can do as far as global potential. But again, I have to question, because there's not a lot of hard crowd control from NSW's composition. And, there's not a ton from TDC either, but you've got the huge wombo from the Nautilus, who brings so much. You have the Orianna, and that's all you need when the rest of your team is just going to be able to bully around NSW.
We are sepia tone for the first, hopefully, just few moments of the game. Maybe some disconnection problems from one of the players. Looks like there's an internet issue.
Yeah. I believe
Hopefully that'll be resolved
Manster
swiftly.
needs to fix that one out. I was alerted by the coach that Manster needed to restart the router, or just the computer, something along those lines. So we've got some time to work with, some more time. That's what we need, right? More time to dissect the comp that we just had like 8 minutes to go through, because we had Champ Select remakes, we had the 3-minute pause delay.
If I'm perfectly honest, I don't mind. This is one of my favorite parts of casting. I love just sort of talking over a composition. Maybe to some people watching, it could get a little bit on the tired side, but there's 10 players, there's summoner spells, there's mastery choices, there's so many different little details about any given game. It's impossible to exhaust them all that quickly.
Right, and talking about these compositions, let's move. We talked about some of the stuff in the early game, what they have to do and whatnot. But if we look at these late game team fights, I feel like they are heavily favored in TDC's camp, because you've got such long range AoE damage from both Ilias, the Jinx gonna pump out a ton with those rockets, with the Runon's Hurricane, you've got the Orianna, and you have no one over for Not Safe for Ward's team to really get on top of those guys. There's no real dive. Yes, you've got the Mundo, yes, you've got the Kled, I guess, but Kled's not going to be all that tanky. He's going to get shred through, and there's so much peel that learning to support is going to be able to bring to the table, that the backline from TDC, I don't think is really going to be able to get hurt that much.
Yeah, they kind of do have all their eggs in like one diving basket. If the Kled ulti plus Mundo diving to the backline isn't enough to finish off the Jinx, then they don't really have anything else to throw. To be fair, they've also got Karma ult empowered E, I should say, which I just consider her ult because it's the only one she ever uses in team
Right,
fights.
right.
But um, they've got quite a few ways to speed the Mundo in. But you're right, if Mundo just gets blocked at the front of the fight by a Nautilus or something like that, or some really nicely placed Jinx traps, then all the speed in the world is not going to help when he's forced to just stand still and watch himself die.
Yeah, and TDC, yes, they have to worry about those guys, but they don't really have to worry about the back lane all that much. You know, Star Guardian, Lulu, and Thief, they're going to be preoccupied trying to take care of Script and Wicked Flux, who are going to be able to dive the backline with relative ease. Again, there's not a whole lot of peel other than the Mantra E from Pimlico. That's pretty much it. And Star Guardian Lulu maybe try to knock away, you know, one of those guys. But Wicked Flux, he's just going to shrug off all the crowd control and walk straight on into their faces.
All right, and it looks like we should be coming out of the pause in just a few moments here as we get the countdown. My favorite thing to see on the screen. I'm just such a fan of pauses ending when I'm casting. And it really wouldn't be a cast with you, Ender, if we didn't have a pause.
Technical difficulties are my specialty. You know, we have you sounding like you're a mile away, screaming, yodeling from the mountaintops. That's how your cast sounded to the viewers, like you were yodeling from a mountaintop.
Oh man, that Tristana skin is so cool.
That was the Dragon Trainer Tristana. That's quality.
No, it's the like little witch one. I don't remember the title of the skin, but she's like
a new one.
She's got a cauldron instead of a cannon, and she's a little witch hat. Oh, thief. They don't really have that much to throw at him. An axe and a few auto attacks.
I feel like they may have been able to get something. You know, the Olaf level 1 is actually pretty potent. You know, when you pick up the axe, refund the cooldown, and just keep chucking those out. That's why you'll see, you know, Olaf's pop the ghost so aggressively, because they know that the threat of, you know, 2 or 3 axes landing could mean, you know, a flash trade, and the summoner spell just cooldown much, much lower for an Olaf. But perhaps they knew that they'd also have to cut through the egg from Thief, so maybe not quite as worth for him. Nothing really traded too much, but for NSW, they do get that deep vision control onto the bottom side jungle of Wicked Flux. Now, Olafs, they tend to start over by their blue buffs, really needing the mana. So it's just going to be reassurance for NSW that Wicked Flux will be starting up on the top side.
I see what you did there. I see. They don't need the mana because Olaf doesn't have mana. I get it. Good joke. That's a good one.
I wasn't trying to make a joke.
What?
I'm confused now.
Man.
Just really, Olaf has mana.
No, Olaf. What? Oh, Olaf has mana. I was looking at Mundo,
you were thinking
and
Mundo.
you said Olaf, and I'm a Dumbo. I'm just a big old Dumbo.
See, this is why we had you muted last cast.
Yeah. I was a better caster when you couldn't hear me,
that's
I'm
a sad
really
thought.
depressed about this. I'm here, Ender. You got this. I'm gonna go.
Got this.
I'm gonna go and find a bucket of water to just dunk my head in for a few minutes. See what happens.
The ice water challenge, the ice bucket challenge. Oh, another
Oh,
pause.
no.
See, you gotta love it. See, my favorite thing whenever I get to
I cursed them.
Yeah, whenever I get to solo cast, I say that Ender is doing the play-by-play and L is doing the color, so I can pretend like I have friends or a co-caster.
Oh, Ender, you shouldn't have said that. That's so
but I
sad.
don't. Hey, you
Ender,
know,
no.
see, I'm looking for a long-term relationship, guys.
Oh no.
We're still on that train, Octavian. We're not jumping off until I find the right I don't know, champion.
We do not condone jumping off trains, by the way. That's not an official opinion of the Learning Fives broadcast. Don't jump off of trains. That's the official opinion. Jumping off trains, bad for your health.
Do we have confirmation on that being the actual official opinion, or are you just kind of
Oh yeah, Blaster
inferring?
Boy. I'm sorry, Blaster Boy. I shouldn't assume.
You just put words in
If
his
Blaster
mouth.
Boy is watching the stream, he can assure us of the Learning Five broadcast's professional opinion on train hopping, which I know a lot of people have been waiting for that particular announcement. Anyways, hopefully we have League of Legends again soon. I like the still images; they're very artsy, but I prefer to see them moving.
You know what? I wish that like during pauses or something. I don't know if you saw the hype video with the rain over yesterday. Did you see that? For
didn't.
Worlds. Oh, it was it basically turned like League of Legends into like this chessboard. It looked amazing. It was great.
Oh.
And Blaster Boy has confirmed we do not encourage jumping on or off of trains. So no hopping on.
Extending
for a free
the
ride
opinion.
either. Yep, there you go. But I don't know. It was a kind of cool thing. Maybe we could check that out if during pauses. Riot, please. That's my next Riot, please question. Can we get that for our actual League of Legends matches?
Oh, please.
You should look it up. It looks great.
Riot, please. Anyways, well, what do we have in front of us here?
You know, we have.
It looks like we have a game of League of Legends, but I
do.
can't tell for sure.
We do, and actually, the only thing I check out the items. You know, check that out. The only thing that really stands out to me as being a big difference is that Script is taking the Doran's Ring as a first item. Typically, you'd see the corrupting potion up there for the Echo. He likes to trade a lot, get that sustain, you recall, have that potion running, and Doran's Ring, while you sometimes see it paired up with maybe a Dark Seal on a first recall just to really dominate through the lane, you don't usually see that being picked up as a first item. And I don't think it's necessarily all that great because Corrupting Potion gives you so much power when you do go in for the trades. And on your first recall, you get those 3 potions back, so there's so much long-term sustain if you go that route as well. So, I mean, maybe Script is just looking to, fight a little bit more often with the extra combat power of the Doran's Ring. But, we'll have to wait and see. He held his own okay on the Malphite last time. This time he's on a more aggressive champion, so I definitely want to see him embrace that a little bit more.
Yeah, and it could just speak to being pretty confident about the lane. A lot of people don't really consider Kled to be all that solid of a laner. He's got a few things going for him. I mean, he's got that sort of moment of mini invulnerability when he hops off of his mount, which can be played around pretty interestingly. But, aside from that, there's not too much that I can sort of praise about Kled's laning phase. He's just so weak when he's off of his mount that it doesn't really make up for the sort of interesting mechanic of the hopping on the mountain, being able to get the health back from getting it back and all that sort of thing.
I do think that the mechanic with the mount is really nice because it's basically this huge form of sustain. It's like, mini into Mega Gnar, you get more HP, whatnot. Like, Valende, when he's going to be able to remount up, if he goes for a heavy trade onto Script, he's going to get a lot of HP back when he climbs back up on top of Skarl. And Script, you're talking about his decision making going for going for the Doran's Ring instead of the Corrupting Potion. He won't have quite as much sustain, so maybe a bigger difference there, not going for the potions, whereas Valende, he's going to have that remount heal.
Well, we had a moment of hope there, but now we just get a different artsy sepia tone photo, this time of the top lane.
Oh, I'm still stuck on bottom lane.
Really? My directed camera threw me up towards top. I get to see Kled about to hit level 2.
Exciting. And you know what we actually didn't talk about? Look at where Wicked Flux is on the map right now. Both junglers are going straight for this top side red buff. So we're about to see a level 2 fight here happen most likely. And
we're frozen in time.
Yeah, neither of them have flash, so I feel like whoever's laners are the fastest to rotate can punish very, very hard, especially if Thief or Valende can make it down there in time, which they may very well be able to do, because if that Olaf gets caught out between 2 or 3 members of NSW, he's got nowhere to go with just a ghost rather than the flash.
That's true. And we may very well answer the question of whether or not Monster Truck's off-brand Exhaust Mundo is able to hold up in the 1v1 against the Olaf. But hopefully we'll be answering that question rather shortly.
I mean, you got to assume, especially early levels in, the exhaust is going to be very beneficial for the 1v1 trades. Now, Ghost probably going to be a little bit better for trying to escape out, but the move speed increase, decrease, basically going to cancel each other out. Ghost just lasts for a longer period of time.
Yes, you're correct.
Thanks.
There's not really much more I can offer for the analysis of specifically Ghost versus Exhaust. Yeah, it's pretty darn cut and dried interaction.
When you were talking about how you love talking during pauses, is there a limit to that? Like, we're approaching 10 minutes of pause.
We are approaching the 10-minute mark, and we already had the pick and ban and the loading screen, and It's been a lot of talking, Ender, and I feel like we're just not clicking. Maybe you have to keep looking for that special someone.
Oh, ouch. I thought we had something special here, Octavian. It's just
Mm,
maybe the time apart. Time's supposed to make people closer, or at least that's what they say. Maybe that's just not the case between me and you.
maybe not, maybe not. But on that note, we should be casting a lot more together very soon,
Yeah,
as I believe you're going to still be with the IPL, correct?
I'm still with IPL.
Cool. All right. Well, that's a different aside entirely. We're with Learning Five, and let's not go off broadcast.
Yeah, we're not gonna advertise for other leagues. That would be ridiculous, Octavian.
Ridiculous indeed. I think the one lane we haven't really touched on too much in terms of laning phase, because we have talked, of course, about the Kled because it's such a weird pick, the Mundo because it's such a weird pick, Anivia versus Orianna because you don't see a lot of Anivia, but we haven't really talked about bottom lane, and let's talk about bottom lane, I guess, because we've got 19 and a half minutes left on the pause timer, and I really hope we don't have to see it hit 0.
It goes negative. That's what you
Does
don't
it?
know. It goes
Oh,
negative
please.
once you get to 0. It goes
That is the
-1.
darkest
It's
timeline.
scary.
I don't want to be in that world.
No, you don't even know. The numbers actually turn red.
Oh,
Like,
no.
I'm not even kidding. I think it goes yellow with a minute remaining, and then it goes red with like 20 seconds. It gets scary. Like, you think it's the actual end of the world. Like, you think the Teemoing has come, and he's got that giant mushroom. It's just...
Oh, man.
Oh,
no.
you think it's
Doombots
just it.
is so hard. Like, as an aside on that note, Doombots are so hard. I tried to play them earlier. Of course, my team couldn't vote on, like, a difficulty.
Okay.
So we got assigned a difficulty level 92. They were not kidding. They were just... It wasn't a joke. Ziggs would throw one bomb, and it would, like, turn into 4 bombs, and then turn into, like, 4 more bombs, and it was disgusting.
See, now I feel like I need to go play Doombots, because I actually haven't played Doombots yet. And now I feel like I'm missing something out.
Yeah, you use the correct word, play Doombots. Win Doombots is not the way you should say that,
That's
unless you
not a
want to do, like,
reality.
difficulty, like, 20 or less. Because that's simply... It's not defeatable. Like, we tried difficulty 40, and we almost beat it. This was me and Blaster Boy we were doing.
See, I heard you could actually build Zizirot Portal, and that
Mhm.
the AI cannot actually attack that. So who knows? Like, maybe that's the secret OP strat that you just have to go for. But the
Yes.
scariest thing, I think I saw like gameplay, and like if you walk in the enemy jungle, there's just shrooms wherever you walk. I think that's the most terrifying for me, as a jungler myself. Like, that would just, I wouldn't be able to live with that. Like, that's just terrifying.
I never actually got to see the enemy jungle, so you may very well be right about that. But there's the ZZ-Rot portal point. You can beat the ZZ-Rot portal. You can place the ZZ-Rot portals, and the bots won't, like, kill the portals, or I think even hit the minions. But the enemy bots, they get something a little better than ZZ-Rot portals. They actually enlist the jungle camps to help them push lanes.
Oh, that is just not okay.
Like, when you get towards the end of the game, Rift Herald and Dragons start pushing the lanes for them. And it's just impossible. But we're back in League of Legends!
Yeah!
Valente stirs in the 1v1 script 2G. There's the dismount as Skarl rushes off like the coward he is, and an axe to follow means that Clyde has to make a cowardly retreat as well. Manster Truck is being harassed at his red buff and harassed away from it. Looks like he'll hold on to his life, but not onto his jungle camps. As Star Guardian Lulu jumps away, and we're back into the game with style.
I don't know, I feel like, honestly, Katsuo maybe forgot that Manster Truck doesn't have a flash, because I feel like he would have been very close to getting that kill, if not just be able to pick that one up no problem had he flashed forward. Granted, they still do pick up the red buff. Wicked Flux gonna be able to grab that, as well as those Raptors. So a big win for TDC and Manster Truck on this oddball pick with that Mundo jungle already being set far behind.
Yeah, and it does have disadvantages in terms of clear speed, in terms of sustain in the jungle, and it's just going to be really rough for him to come back from that sort of deficit. The red buff is darned instrumental to some of the early ganks from a jungler so focused on slows. Katsuo uses half his health with a nice light blaze combo from Thief.
Yeah, and actually, you talk about the sustain in the jungle from Amundo, and I'm not sure what Manster's running this game, but back, I believe, in the preseason to this, is we're going to put that on hold as Star Guardian gets hit.
Not hold for very long.
Not hold for very long. I'm right back in on it, but back when Mundo Jungle was actually kind of a thing at the start to this preseason, with Strength of the Ages being strong and whatnot, some of the mastery changes, but I believe you actually took Spell Vamp Quince on the Mundo because that would mean that you got like full health back, or you actually healed off of all your axes, which again, I don't know if that's what he's running, but it's one of those funky things and funky setups that goes hand in hand with these odd picks.
And this is how long it's taken for Falenda to get his mount back. This is one of the reasons Kled does need a bit of a tweak, if only making it so that last hits give you more courage back, so you can get Scarl back after a trade, perhaps. Or maybe they just really want you to have to go in while in your sort of weakened states. But that fight that we saw a few minutes ago, from then until now, I think about a minute and a half is how long it took for him to get his mount back, just last hitting in lane.
Right, and he's flashless too, so he still has to be on the alert. Knew that he couldn't play aggressively because he lost the flash because Wicked Flux pushed Manster out of his own jungle, so he's just been pinned under this turret. You know, once again, the CS is relatively even up there, but he's definitely had to play a little bit further back, a little bit scared in this matchup that he theoretically was able to counterpick for himself.
Yep, and there goes the mount once again, so Kled, I mean, he got some health back, but it disappeared pretty rapidly. We'll see if he can survive long enough to remount once more.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to recall and teleport back into the lane. Not sure how much, he doesn't have that much gold, sitting at about 1,200, but he's still sticking around, and this kind of goes hand in hand with that Doran's Ring pickup Script went for, I believe, because he's just trading so often on this Echo. The Corrupting Potion's great if you only trade, you know, 3 times or so to get that bonus burn damage, but the Doran's Ring always going to be powerful in terms of combat stats.
Thief has hit the level 6 mark, and that's when you said this lane might turn in his favor since he's get the pushing power out of the Glacial Storm. Ooh, a really good hook on the Star Guardian Lulu, but of course, being Tristana, he can leap out of there, no problem.
I'm surprised you remembered that from 20 minutes ago. That's some good memory right there.
Please.
It's been a while since we talked about that mid lane.
Have some sort of respect for my commentary abilities, Enderell.
I'm
what
praising
little do you
you.
think of me?
I'm praising
20
you.
minutes.
I forgot I said
So you're
it,
praising me
Octavian.
in the way that, like, a kindergarten teacher praises one of the 5-year-olds in class for knowing how to spell their name right without putting the S backwards.
Wow,
I'm not 5 years old.
Octavian.
I don't need gold stars.
You only get one star. Stars aren't perfect, Octavian.
Oh. Now I want
man.
gold stars.
You get
So
one
you've conditioned me
gold
now.
star.
I'm not happy unless I have my gold stars.
It's like
Anyway.
I play the tone whenever I, you know, ask you to do something, so then you associate doing that with the tone, and then, you know, I'm like, just let me take over this fight play by play. Press the button, beep, and then all of a sudden I'm play by play and you're not even casting.
Would you
that's the
kindly
long
play
con.
by play for me?
That's the long con. Well, Katsuo, he goes in there, snags away that blue buff, no problem. Gonna return to this lane. Pick up some minions underneath that tower, I say with my sultry, sexy voice. Script 2G shoving in that top lane, no problem, and I'm gonna dip out of this one before I get fired.
You trying to be an Octavian here? Is that what you're doing?
That's what
trying
I'm
to put me out of a
do.
job? All right, well,
Yeah.
Thief, in the meantime, went and grabbed himself a Raptor camp. He's really dedicated to this hard farm Anivia, and looking to get a kill or two, perhaps, as well. A nice sidestep from Wicked Flux, and the Anivia autos don't really hurt quite as much as that stun would have. So he's going to get out of there, but at the cost of a summoner, and Thief is still looking for more. He's got Pimlico waiting in the wings, as well as his own wings, to toss out some skill shots with.
See, one thing that a lot of Anivia players do is they wait till later levels to get a point in the wall. And it actually ends up hurting Thief very much there, because had he had the wall, Wicked Flux, there's no way for him to get out. You know, he has the ghost. He's just dodging skill shots. You can't really dodge a wall, and it may have been bad for him, but it's bad for Pimlico.
Ooh. Yeah, Wicked Flux is there for the damage, and Learning to Support is there to hold down the Karma. That's going to be a almost kill. Okay, flashing from Katsuo. The Shockwave comes through with the shield.
Oh, we got it on the
Quite
turn!
enough. But Katsuo is going to be held up. Now the wall has been leveled from Thief. We'll see if the auto is enough. Thief gets the kill. Steals one back for his own team. That's a 1-for-1 trade, but Wicked Flux is looking to push the potential advantage here, going for the early Drake. It is an Ocean Drake that would be super valuable to have this early on, but Monster Truck is not going to give it up that easily. He's level 6. He's coming in with the ulti, the speed buff, the health regen. He's just forcing Lunar to support back. Meanwhile, we've got Star Guardian Lulu leaping in for some kills. He finds one. He's got the reset to jump forward. Doesn't quite land the slow, but Wicked Flex has nowhere left to run. He's just buying as much or as little time as he possibly can. Drake's vision into the bush. What? Okay, they give it to Karma.
Hey, Pimlico comes back. I mean, I don't really know what TDC was trying to do there because they traded 1-for-1, granted, but it was a mid laner for a support. So no matter what, they were going to be the ones behind as far as, you know, the 5 versus 5 is concerned. They didn't have Katsuo, whereas all NSW was missing was Pimlico, and even he is able to return and pick up a kill at the end. They end up forfeiting that dragon on over as well, unless Katsuo can get some sort of miracle steal, which just is not the case without a flash smite over the wall, which you don't really get with a mid lane Orianna.
Yeah, no, generally not the way you go in terms of summoners on that particular pick. As we return to the top lane, where Valente Stir has done a great job, actually, of weathering that early game. Said that Kled is most powerful once you can get a few core items, and it looks like even just getting the piecemeal items in the form of what is it?
Spectre's Cowl. Spectre's Cowl.
Spectre's Cowl has been enough for him to at least sort of come back in this lane. Script 2G is now being pushed backwards, and he's more than evened up the CS.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because Script, he's going for the first time in Trinity Force, which is, yes, strong on the Echo, but, you know, especially at Worlds, we've been seeing players start to fade away from that a little bit, and I feel like, you know, a Sunfire Cape into an Iceborne Gauntlet would have been very, very strong into Valende, just get a lot of armor, and really make him non-existent, because right now we're not seeing Valende build a lot of combat stats necessarily. He's just, you know, getting that early resistance, so he's able to just win these trades off of base damage, whereas Script, he got the Phage. He already has a Phage pretty much built into his passive, so yes, he's very mobile, but he's not really able to win out these fights because the actual stats he's getting are not all that fantastic.
Yeah, and the Phage speaks to, like, a playstyle where you're going for those extended sort of engages where the movement speed matters. You want to stick to someone. But against a Kled, that's really not the way you want to be playing the lane. That's where Kled will shine the most, when he can get multiple procs of his 3-hit passive, which Riot loves so much. So I think it's better to build for quicker engages, where you're just trying to proc the Echo passive, get as much damage off as quickly as you can, and then back out.
Yeah, Valende, Valende just got the Rift Herald too, so maybe gonna even help him out a little bit more there as well. Give him some more damage in those trades, some damage reduction too, I guess. It's kind of the jack of all trades buff, although it doesn't really win in any of the trades. It's the lonely buff that rarely ever gets taken, but you know, when you spot out Wicked Flux on the opposite side of the map, when you realize that Script recalls without a teleport available, it's a pretty easy buff to pick up if you are Valende right there.
Script did recall though, and that means he's got some more items, and it looks like he's willing to put him to the test. However, Valende Stir is passing that test with some darn good damage onto the Echo.
Yeah, still able to win out on those trades, even though he's down, you know, one of those component items. The Sheen is what Script returns with, which is, again, it's a little bit different than the Phage. You said the Phage is for those extended engages. Well, the Sheen is really to dash on in and then dip on out, so I guess the Phage plays into that a little bit too. Just get in there, get your 3 proc, and back away, because you're going to be able to get that a lot faster than Valende will be able to get his own 3 mark.
Ooh, this is
2 members down here from TDC.
And this is a choreographed dive if I've ever seen one. They are really just trying to force this.
NSW, they have double TP. They can respond.
Yeah, and they've got people roaming down the river already. Pimlico is going to be bursted out. We'll see if anything else comes of this potential overextension from TDC. Katsuo loses about half his health. A nice stun lands onto both of the carries, and there's Tristan. Big damage, but a heal is going to keep Katsuo alive as he gets buster shotted backwards. Now Monster Truck has flanked around. He's in the middle of 4 people though, and I don't think he survives that for very long, especially with the Ignite getting his healing, but he just about gets out, and it's a double kill for the Anivia, a triple kill! And Thief is once again going to start running away with this game.
Team doesn't care. They were just in the middle of a snowstorm right there. Didn't have their coats on because that did a whole hell of a lot of damage to them. Massive stuff. I thought NSW was completely faltering there. They didn't call the shots. They didn't use their teleports to make it down into the bottom lane, but the flank from Manster and Thief both completely turning that around in what was really a 3 versus 4.
Hey, Ender.
Yeah, Octavian.
What's the score right now? I can't see it.
It's 8-2.
4-4. Score not found.
Oh boy. Nice. That took me
He's
a while.
got
That took me a
100% kill
while.
participation though.
That's true. He's absolutely doing his job. I mean, he was the carry force on NSW last game. It doesn't matter that he doesn't get the Orianna. He's still a monster.
Yeah, and I mean that just speaks to the best quality you can have, particularly in a mid lane, which is consistency. And over admittedly only 2 games, he's shown that. And well, they really don't want him to. Wicked Flux is now coming up towards the top side. Pimlico may be caught out once again. I think all of their kills so far have been on. Yep, all of their kills so far have been onto this Karma support.
There goes the 100% kill participation.
Yeah, I suppose.
Oh wait, no it doesn't.
But,
no it doesn't. Wrong team.
Oh? Yeah, wrong team. But Wicked Flux
Now
going
it's
down.
gone.
Take it away. But yeah, sadly, 100% of the deaths so far for Pimlico's team are on his shoulders. But aside from that, I'd say that NSW is doing just fine.
No, they absolutely are. And Thief, you say consistency is the real deal for these players. That goes throughout all roles. It's about playing consistently day in and day out. That's why, you know, players like Faker, they stay at the top of their game for so long, and then you have others that are much... Whoa, console, you're gone.
Okay then. Thief is unstoppable.
Yeah,
And a moniker
okay.
well deserved.
Yeah, no, but like, that's why there's some players that, you know, fall in and out of, you know, power, you know, based on meta, based on, you know, just what the champions are at the current time. And then you have players that are just sticking around all the time, like Faker, like Dyrus back in his heyday. You know, just all around fantastic players that can, you know, live up to the task. And it's not just about consistency, it's about being flexible as well. And that's what Thief has shown. When his Orianna gets stolen away, he resorts to yet another control mage in that Anivia and is doing work on that as well.
Yes, indeed. And meanwhile, Dragon's going down. This would be the second Ocean Drake. So double Ocean Drake this early on in the game would be super powerful. We'll see if Pimlico continues his record of 100% of his team's deaths. He flashes over the wall to get away from that sticky situation as the smite comes through for Manster Truck. And I would like to take a moment, just as an aside, to say that I really like Valendester's build choice here. On pretty much any other champion, I would say building this many piecemeal items when ahead isn't quite the best idea. You want to finish items for the most part. But Kled needs so many different, like, kinds of stats. He needs, like, he needs damage, he needs tankiness, he needs, like, penetration, he needs all these different things. That it's actually, I think, a pretty good idea to just build all these different smaller, rather efficient pieces rather than completing any one thing.
Right, they all accomplish different things. You've got the Phage, that's going to be building into the Black Cleaver for later on when Script will have some armor, but is Valente just gonna... No, Script has the ulti so he can get some health back, so Valente won't commit to the dive, but he will pick up the turret. That's what the Phage is for. Then you've got the Spirit Visage just to withstand the laning phase. He was struggling very early on up against Script, picked that one up as a first item. And then the Tiamat, that's just to continue shoving out the wave, because that's one of the things that Kled can struggle with when he's mounted on up, shoving the wave consistently. And it's working for him. He's turned this lane around, and now he's the one knocking down that tower first and really extending this massive gold lead, 5,000 at 18 minutes for NSW.
And you got to be worried for TDC because last game around, there was a pretty even laning phase. They had some victories and some losses during laning, and then they got kind of crushed once it came to like the 25, 26 minute mark. And this time, I mean, you have to assume that NSW is still going to be able to play just as cleanly in the team fights, and they've also won the laning phase, so there's really just no disadvantage for them now.
Right, it's just like a slow and steady, like, upwards trend for NSW. Yeah, they had the huge play around bottom, but other than that, it's just been consistently winning out in these lanes. The CS difference in mid is huge, but at the same time, Ilios is absolutely stomping on Star Guardian Lulu, up 60 CS down in that bottom lane. So the power's in different areas. It's just that Ilios, he doesn't have the kills that Star Guardian Lulu has, so the gold between them is still dead even.
Yeah, and that is a good point. That is one of the few bright spots they have remaining. That, and I suppose Script 2G did just hit a pretty powerful item spike. If they can make a play around Ilios and the now completed Trinity Force for this Echo somehow, like teleport play to the bottom side, something like that, maybe there's something good that can come of that. And we're still relatively early days yet with this game. It's just there's so many thorns they have to avoid. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it.
Oh,
Or maybe they
this is
can. There's a
good.
nice hook on the Thief. Pulled back in by the Orianna ulti. He's an egg, but not for soon. That's the shutdown. Exactly what they needed. Now Katsuo is going to get the field for himself to safety. Monster Truck is still trying to just beef his way into the back line, but not going to be successful with that. As Valende Stir is now here, dismounting as the bear trap on a rope actually expired as he dismounted. To see whether or not he can get the mount back in time. He filled up his courage bar, but he died as it hit red. That was a really good team fight for TDC.
It was a really good team fight, but it was a better pick. They catch out Thief, doesn't have the flash, they're able to burst down his egg as well. So Thief, the strongest member on NSW once again, unable to participate in that fight. So I think, well, yes, it was a good pick. It was a worse decision to fight for NSW so far down.
Oh,
they're turning it!
Getting bursted. There's the Trinity Force burst I was talking about. Script 2G gets the kill. Nicely done.
Yeah, I just think that's a really bad time for NSW to fight. Once again, they lose Thief, but not to mention, yes, Script 2G just got the Trinity Force, but Valende would have still won out so hard in that 1v1 lane because he had the Black Cleaver on top of 2 other component items that are very strong individually. That's just one of the downfalls of having the really expensive Triforce within the lane up against Valende, but in a team fight, it's absolutely gonna work out for them, especially when they find that solid pick to start it off.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would still say, though, that NSW definitely have the upper hand in this game. They're still, of course, ahead in terms of gold. They've got more map control, but it's those sorts of fights that are going to bring TDC back, and that's got to be good for morale, even if it doesn't put them ahead, like numerically speaking. Just
and back
to know that they can take a fight if it's the right circumstance.
Right. Back in Champs Life, too, we said that they have the late game scaling as well. It's very hard for NSW to team fight into the TDC lineup, and especially without their biggest member, it's going to get hard. So again, if TDC can win these fights, can find some more picks, stall this game out longer, I think it absolutely favors them come 30-35 minutes.
Nicely done, Wicked Flex. I don't know if he knew that was being taken or if he was just trying to start his Raptors a little earlier. It was either a really happy coincidence or just a nice steal.
It was a happy accident, as Bob Ross would love for us to point out, but now we're seeing that fun action all around the map.
Yeah, on the bottom side, Monster Truck is getting bullied out of the jungle. He's desperately to invade, but he's got Thief to help him out. And that is a chilly Anivia, putting out quite a bit of damage. Valende's Stir is basically diving up on the top side. He is almost unstoppable. Meanwhile, Katsuo is going to fall, and NSW are back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, they've got it now. All they need is Valende over in the split push situation. Make sure they're the ones finding the picks. And oh, Ilios!
Ooh, Thief. There it is! He lined up the Q as he was tossing out the E. These are some smooth Anivia combos.
Thief, I'm not sure if he really needs to learn fives right now. I think he needs to find a solid fives pro team and get on his horse or get on his bird. I don't know what you want to call it. He's just playing so phenomenally well in this game.
Nicely stunned, holding him up there. The ulti has reached full bore, and it's doing quite a bit of damage. Now learning to support. Oh, he tried to hook out, but there was an Anivia wall in the way.
The Anivia wall is just so powerful in this game when the 2 main carries of TDC are both immobile, no dash on them whatsoever. If their flash is down and they get walled in by Thief, they're going to go down 100%, and that's what he's doing right here. Not just on the carries, but on the Olaf, on the Echo, on the Nautilus. He's just catching people out off guard. The Anivia pick doing so well for him and his team.
And the third Drake goes down. That's full dragon control still for NSW. As Katsuo is being bullied away from his own blue buff here, we'll see whether or not Valende can do much about this. Looks like he's going to back out.
My real question for NSW is, when do they go for the Baron here? Because if you've been watching, Olaf in competitive play, it's so hard for him to get into the pit for a Baron steal. He's got no jump, no flash, no way to get over a wall. So if you just bait out the Baron, force him to come in at around 2,000 or 3,000 HP, you just turn around and kill him, and all of a sudden the fight is completely in your favor. And NSW, they thrive, I feel, when TDC is running into them, because they've got the Anivia and the Tristana to really kite away, make sure they're running into that Glacial Storm, running into the CC.
Any situation where Thief can fully charge up the Glacial Storm and
Right.
get like maximum damage out of it as well. Since those Anivia changes where it's no longer just like instantly drop down at full radius, full damage, it charges up and it does even more damage than it used to, but only if you can have it out for a few moments. That would just work so well for their favor.
Look at the item difference between Thief and Katsuo right now. We're sitting at 3.5 items from Thief. He's not even picking up boots. He's a confident bird. He knows he doesn't need shoes. Role-playing Cassiopeia, I guess. Whereas Katsuo, all he's got is a Morella Nomicon. He's trying to build a Luden's Echo, but he's just not there just yet. The difference is completely astounding. And if you look at the gold, that's 4,000 in the favor of Thief.
Ooh, that was a beautiful hook interrupting Star Guardian Lulu. That forces up Tristana. Oh, but that alone is not enough as Wicked chase him down. Now Pimlico is going to fall as well. Small consolation that he's no longer the only one with any deaths on his team, but you know, it's small consolation indeed as the rest of his team pretty much falls around him. Nicely done by TDC.
I don't know, I feel like TDC may have been able to go for the Baron. Again, the Mundo, very similar to the Soloff, no guaranteed way to make it into the pit, and TDC, they've got some nice Baron damage with the Jinx. Now, that was a great decision from them to pull the trigger on that fight, because they have two choices to win a 5v5 or just win a fight in general. Either one, pick off Thief at the start, or two, engage on the rest of his team when he's not around. Thief doesn't have boots, and if he doesn't have TP up, he is unable to make it.
Power conversions comes down, but a nicely placed wall is going to prevent it from being a stun.
Look at Valente top lane.
Yeah, meanwhile, Kled split pushing up there with his halberd, I guess? I'm really not sure what weapon he is wielding. His spear, halberd, something in that range. Bec de combat, if he wants to be French about it.
I don't have a
And looks like he'll get the turret.
Yeah, he's got it. Gonna pay with his life probably, but the rest of his team is making a play.
Pretty hard to run away. Oh, there's the flash. Parallel convergence comes down, but it's a little bit too slow. Oh, the hook is there though. Skarl heads for the hills, but Kled is not nearly as fleet of foot, and he's gonna go down. This is an aggressive Baron.
They've got a Mountain Drake, so they're crushing it. They've got it.
Yeah, just gone in the space of time it took them to hunt down the top laner. Katsuo is flashing in. Pimlico will probably fall unless he's got flash to get over the wall. Doesn't look like he does. But that's
gonna be up in like
an
3 or 4
appropriate price to
seconds.
pay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Katsuo, he burns his flash for that. Like, how is that worth? You're not going to get much off of this. There's a huge wave bot you have to clear away. The death timers are not long at all. The flash for a Raptor camp and a kill doesn't seem like a worth trade when all is said and done. And NSW, they should be able to hold this turret.
Yeah, I mean, they've got both Anivia and Tristana to bring to bear, and yeah, it looks like TDC knows this. I'm going to go ahead and go back to base, and well, I mean, you got to consider the Kled as well, so it's like 2 kills and some jungle stolen away for a Baron, which isn't really worth it.
Yeah, and I don't know. With Katsuo, like, when Anivia has the wall, there's no way for Katsuo to get out of that, you know, without the flash. So now he's so much more vulnerable in this next team fight. And quite honestly, if TDC lose a team fight near their base, it could be the game for them with this Baron to, you know, empower those creeps to really just knock down the Nexus turrets, get that Nexus. We're getting to the later sort of stages of the game. It's still early on in theory, but the death timers are going to start to get longer and longer and longer.
And they've already got a naked inhibitor as well.
Right.
The split pushing assured that from
Katsuo.
Valente. That
There
was
you
an
go.
amazing stun. Followed up with the burst. Thief gets himself another kill.
I rest my case, Octavian. Doesn't even need the wall.
This has been some dang solid Anivia play, and maybe Flash being up would have saved him there. Barrier didn't come down either. Wicked Flux is going to get chunked out. There's the Ragnarok popped. As now they're going to shove in. They've got the Tristana to mount these towers.
And once again, Valente is destroying the bottom lane inhibitor. They're just outmanned, outgunned.
Oh,
and
man.
they can't hold their own.
Script 2G takes a big chunk, and just any which way Anivia chooses to glance, people start losing health. Valente Stir is going to leap in onto Ilios. Ilios is going to get pulled back with the bear trap on a rope, and actually the invulnerability from dismounting meant the hook didn't land, but they still had enough left to throw at him.
Oh, actually, NSW, they kind of collapsed there. They lost their minions mid, so the communication, the decision making, Valende drops. They still are gonna try for this turret.
Oh no, the shockwave landing only onto minions as Tristana was able to leap out of it. Orianna, such an instrumental part of their team fight, not landing. That's gonna be really disastrous for TDC. Looks like NSW wants to stick around. Admittedly, they are very close to their base, and they're going to have the home guard buff now. So yeah, they're going to back off, not try and go for an inhibitor push, as Dragon will be with us in just a moment.
Yeah, another Ocean Drake, so just capping out on that. After this, we'll have 3 Ocean Drakes and 1
3 Ocean Drakes on a Mundo.
And a Mountain, and a Mundo.
He's just... The Mundo's just going to be a walking fountain
at this point. You can't die. I mean, all he's really missing is a Warmogs, but if you have 3 Ocean Drakes, do you even is Warmogs
Spirit Visage
even
would probably be
relevant?
better.
Oh yeah, he's
Spirit
got
Visage
that
would probably
now.
be the better choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, now he's gone Spirit Visage. He stacks some health to make his passive very, very powerful. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's healing somewhere in the range of like 75 to 100 health a second.
You know, quite honestly, I feel like that was a win for TDC. The Baron's basically gone now. And what did NSW actually get? They got a bot lane inhibitor turret. That was it. They didn't open up any inhibitors, so they don't have that 6th man, if you want to consider the super minions an extra champion on each team. So I think that's a win for Team Doesn't Care, because they're able to hold on for a little bit longer. And again, the scaling is in their favor. It's just going to take them a long time to get there because of how far ahead Thief is right now.
Win might be a bit of a strong word. It's a not loss.
It's a non-loss.
It's a bit of a neutral situation for them, which is good, because really the only other alternative was a loss. I don't really think they were going to hard win anything right there unless something horrible happened. Oh, Wicked Flux has to pop the Ragnaros. Ilios is caught out of the wrong side of the fight, but the wall comes down to prevent them from finishing off the Jinx. Anivia, playing the traitor, gets Ilios out of there. And the fight continues. Script2G is now in the front lines. He's going to flash over the wall, but Voidistor is chasing after him. He doesn't want to let that bear trap on a rope not resolve. Ilios is belting out as much damage as he can with the low life total that he has. A really nice 3-man stun from the Echo. Will keep them back from any further kills, but they get the inhibitor that was naked.
And they're looking for that top inhibitor as well. A couple naked inhibitors, as you're talking about, but they're kind of split up in the way they go about this. Thief taking the long route around, and Pimlico, he's kind of pinned over
Guardian
there.
Lulu has to flash, but he still gets sniped by the flashy pink rocket from the back. Ilios is now exhausted by Monster Truck, but he gets out again with only 100 health. They just can't finish off this. Oh, no, never mind. They can't finish off the Jinx. Thief is there to clean it up as he disappears. I believe just the targeted E found its mark there.
Oh, it's so sloppy, so scrappy of a game, because again, NSW, they had split calls right there. Are they going to go back for the mid lane? Are they going to rotate up into the top? And it opened up, you know, this sort of opportunity for Team Doesn't Care to make something happen. But again, it's just 12,000 gold lead for not safe reward. They're just able to win that out, even when they're kind of outmanned for a portion of that fight.
Oh man, and that's got to feel rough when you know the enemy team made a bit of a rotational mistake. It looked like you had the advantage for the fight, and still you just get straight outgunned. I got to give props to Ilios there. He did a great job of surviving both those fights. One of which was kind of down to Thief misplacing a wall, but still, you take advantage of your opponent's mistakes, and it holds them out in the game a little bit longer. As you say, they've got the Jinx, they've got the Orianna, they can scale later. I just worry that since so many of these fights have been so on edge, the next one they might just go over.
Answer, he's so tanky, he can just pop that ulti and get on out of there. But you know, I have an announcement for everyone. Thief, at 32 minutes into the game, has picked up his boots. Lucidity boots are the decision for the
We've
bird.
made it, boys.
The Thief has landed. Anivia has landed, ladies and gentlemen. Boots have come online. I don't know. I mean, I guess he just needs some more mobility. I definitely think that's important on the Anivia, because her base move is so slow.
I'd say boots are a pretty good buy in general.
Yeah.
I'd recommend them.
Would recommend to a friend. Unless they're playing Cassiopeia, then don't let them know, because they'll be searching the store for hours and won't be able to find those.
Oh man, the vision control is allowing Thief to just go for a ton of different angles for his harass. And that harass is hurting at this point. All right, they're going to be backing off towards the Baron.
Because one interesting thing, Ocean Drake only stops charging if an enemy champion hits you. So, theoretically, you could still be healing while they get the Baron, but he calls in the friends and they pick that one up once again, getting that no problem.
Tristana, Kled, and Anivia, they all absolutely melt. Objective Zoo, that was close. That anchor tickled Star Guardian Lulu's backside there for a sec.
I wonder if there's a world in which Valende teleports down bottom, because look, supers are about to be on the Nexus turrets. Yes, they have an open inhibitor here, but they already have the shove advantage. Valende could have been getting some damage down over there.
It's looking like we might have a bit of an anticlimactic end to this pretty scrappy game. The Baron buffed and powered top lane push. The super minions on the Nexus turrets. Oh, they're just bleeding from too many angles. They don't really have any way to stop this.
This is one of those situations when TDC, you're not going to be able to get an advantage on the map anywhere. You give up the Baron, you're just out-rotated. You've lost so much that just stay in your base. Try your best to not give up anymore. Don't give any more ground, rather than try and gain ground in areas that you really can't contest for. They lose an inhibitor for that overreach.
Yeah, not losing becomes the only feasible goal. Winning is not really an option in a lot of these fights anymore, as they have to just do their best to cut their losses and survive. They may not be able to do that for very much longer. They've now got both lanes pushing in for free, 5 members with Baron buff strong, and a more than 6 item thief who's got the blue pot running on top of his full build.
Yeah, and NSW, they're going looking for this Elder Dragon. That's one of the scariest things in League of Legends. Not the Elder Dragon by itself, but if you can get Elder right after getting a Baron, so you can have full 2 minutes of that Elder Dragon on top of a Baron buff, especially with 4 Elemental Drakes to buff that Drake up. That's just so much, and it goes down in no time at all.
This is basically a max potential Elder Dragon. They've got now 6 Ocean Drake buffs and 2 Mountain Drake buffs, I believe. So Monster Truck, look at his health. It doesn't go away.
Insane.
6 Ocean Drakes with a Spirit Visage and Mundo passive. He's just never going to be hurt.
Yeah,
ever.
And he's on fire. The question now is, where does TDC draw the line? Do they fight around this inhib, which it looks like it's going to be?
It's not really so much a fight as it is a stomp. Thief is being focused out here, but he's got the Seraph's Embrace as well as some extra shielding from the Karma, telling him to be at peace with himself. He follows those directions pretty easily. There's not really much to stress about in this game. And that's going to be it, I'm assuming.
Yeah, there's no way. The death timer's just way too long. Nexus turrets dropping. Everyone glowing on the side of NSW. They just came out on top 2-0 up against Team Does Not Care.
All right, and that is going to be it for us today. It was just a best of 2 between these 2 teams, and an interesting one at that.
Interesting one as far as the games themselves, the picks, and even the production quality over here at Learning Fives, as Tin Can Octavian got upgraded to Octavian version 2, so we could actually hear what he was saying in the second one. But really strong play, and Thief specifically just taking over this entire series. 13-1-0. I forget what he was last game, but I think he was like 15-1. It was just incredible play from this guy.
He had at least 10 kills for every death across the series, and that is a pretty darn solid ratio to have in any role.
Yeah, you gotta respect
Good job,
from that guy. Good job, Hief. Thief, Hief, whatever you want to go for. Just really, really impressive stuff from him. But again, that's going to do it for us today. I believe our next match is going to be next week, but I cannot confirm or deny that. We'll have to get an official statement from Blaster Boy about trains and and about the next matches on that regard. But on behalf of us here at Learning Fives, have a great day, evening, afternoon, guys, and we will see you for our next matches.